We are back with you live once again on another Johnnie Torch live broadcast. Broadcast number 241 today. Torch News Roundup number 198. Thank you for joining us here on the only way to spend your Saturday, here with us on the Johnnie Torch live program. Coming your way every Saturday when possible. And we've got a Torch News Roundup, which is the show we do all the news on pop culture, usually superhero, comic book related, film and television properties, sci-fi and all that jazz, all that good stuff. Yeah, we've got, I don't know, I was going to say probably a briefer show today, but knowing how I like to drag things on and just drag them out, I'm sure we'll be here for quite a while. How are you? Welcome to the show. Be sure to leave your comments in the chat while we're here live. If you're watching this after the fact, we'd love to read your comments on the next exciting broadcast. We try to do at least one show a week. I also try to get a live art stream up pretty soon. I got to be doing another one of those. It's been a couple of weeks. And, you know, if you haven't already, please check the link in the description below for The Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, my beloved passion project, which we are now on the 8th issue. And I'm happy to say that it's coming along very well. It's starting to come along a bit faster. I knew once we got out of the bar scene, there's a fight scene in the speakeasy. And, you know, I have to color pool tables and billiard balls, and it was a little more cumbersome. We've only got 1 or 2 more pages to go on that scene, and then once I get that done, it'll probably be a little bit simpler to finish up the color scheme. And that is still on pace, hopefully, to be released probably in June. I was hoping for May. I'm thinking maybe I can still get it released in June. So that is the hope. That is the intention as of now. But check out the link in the description below if you haven't already. And you can see some preview pages from the current issue, issue number 7, which is called The Family Jewels. That's the name of this story arc. It's going to be a 3-part story arc, very exciting, in which Carrot Top, our main villain, arch nemesis to Bullets Bourbon, is trying to find a priceless statuette for his father, who is the head, the Don, so to speak, of a very powerful mob. And, of course, the introduction of Veronica into the series. We've talked about her a lot in previous issues, but we finally reveal her, the big reveal in that issue. And she has plans for Bullets Bourbon. To find out what those plans are, you're going to have to tune in to issue number 8, which we are working on now, Temptation Eyes. But again, we will talk more about that, hopefully in an upcoming broadcast when I'll have a few new images, hopefully, to show you. I used to hold the images close to the chest, to use a metaphor. But I really am excited about this storyline, and I'm really hoping to get, you know, the skeptic, you know, the reader who doesn't, you know, really want to partake of this. I want to get you interested this time. I'd really like to save all the surprises and twists and turns for when you actually pick up the book and read it. But when you don't have enough people picking up the book and reading it, you've got to offer them a little something to whet their appetite. And so I've been trying to release some images, and you'll see some of them on my website. Some of them I have introduced on Twitter, but haven't put them on my website yet. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on my website. Keep an eye on Twitter. If you're brave enough to brave that cesspool, which is Twitter. I'm also on Gab and Minds, which unfortunately, and Discord, which unfortunately I don't really pay attention to too much. I'm really only capable of dealing with one bit of social media at any given time. I really cannot stretch my interest among 3 or 4 different. I know a lot of people tell me to get on Instagram. I'm not on Instagram. Again, it is what it is, but I will always try to keep in touch with the fans via Twitter as long as I am still there. And, of course, here on YouTube. We've got so many new subs, and again, I am still ever grateful for all the subs that I have in encountered here in recent months. The sub count has just gone up. I want to thank each and every one of you individually. I don't have the names of all the subs, but you know who you are. And we're at 210 as of now, 210 subs. Like I said, the goal, hopefully, fingers crossed, God willing, will be 300 subs by the end of the year. That's what I'd like to see. So hopefully, if you haven't subbed already, you will consider. And of course, as the ticker is saying on the bottom there, like, share, and subscribe if it is all in your desire. And so, before we get to the stories of the day, let me also, I want to broach the subject of the poll of the week question. We talked about it last week, I'm not sure, but I just like to cover all bases, make sure that and apparently I wanted to do a different genre of music on Johnny's Jukebox, which is the Twitter feature that I do, putting different types of music up, a song a day. I had a lot of different ones, and a lot of different genres, and the way that sort of shook out was I couldn't get any main consensus amongst my voters. So we're going to just do all of them, and I'm going to probably start that in May. And we'll do everything from gangster rap to country and western to folk. We're going to spend a whole month, and metal, heavy metal. We're doing a whole month of some experimental sounds, for me anyway, because those are musical genres I'm not that interested in. And I'm picking a couple of different artists that I can focus on and play some different stuff on the jukebox. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how that turns out. Okay, so let's take a look now at our first story. And it's kind of a disappointing story that I must relate to you here, but we're going to talk about Dominic Purcell apparently leaving Legends of Tomorrow. Let me see here. The copy says, the Wave Rider will be losing another key crew member next season, as Dominic Purcell, who plays fan favorite Mick Rory, aka Heatwave, has announced his shocking departure from the series. While details are still forthcoming, he released a statement late last night where he expressed how much he loved playing the character before strongly alluding to a fallout with Warner Brothers, the studio behind the DC Comics series. It appears it was some sort of dispute relating to his contract for the recently announced 7th season that ultimately led him to bid farewell. He said, and quote, "Deal isn't done. I have no interest. Whatever cash they throw on the corporate level. I'm walking away from Legends of Tomorrow. It's been a total pleasure and a humbling experience bringing DC Comics' iconic character Heatwave to life. I smashed this character. Not an actor in the world could have done better." Aside, I agree with him there. I agree with him. He was a very endearing character. I didn't expect to enjoy his character as much as I did. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about the character in the comics, so I don't know that maybe he isn't as accurate to the comic, which is sort of usually my sticking point, but what he brought to the show, though, was, of immeasurable importance. Let's see. Fact. Time to move on and see how blank unfolds. Katie Lots, education. They are a number. Teach them to not rely on loyalty from the studio. The studio does not care. The actor's worth, ethic, and talent must give them the confidence to question authority. Much love to all. It's not lost on me how very fortunate I am. Actors hit me up on DM, he says in all capitals. I'm guessing that's from Twitter, which I haven't kept up with him on Twitter, so I am only guessing. With Purcell's exit, Katie Lotz and Amy Louise Pemberton as Gideon are the only two actors remaining from the first season. He's also the show's latest high-profile star to butt heads with the studio after fellow original cast member Brandon Routh was reportedly forced to exit the series in season 5, which by all accounts was not his call. That was also very strange. There was not a a public controversy there with Routh's exit. It was kind of strange, though, where he kind of was saying he didn't want to leave, but he was being pushed out. And was it perhaps the powers that be didn't want to pay him, which is kind of what I think Purcell is leading to here, or alluding to, I should say. With production already underway on the 6th season finale, which will be directed by former castmate Maisie Richardson Sellers, it seems like Purcell will be able to fulfill his contract and wrap up season 6, hopefully getting a proper goodbye for his character. Again, this is one of those things where Legends of Tomorrow has always had a revolving door with its characters. You can't really feel confident that any of them will stay to the series conclusion. I think probably Katie Lotz is the most lead pipe lock I would give on who would come and who would go, but I don't know. I think that's kind of what they're wanting to do now. They're wanting to just kind of keep the revolving door going with these characters, and to some extent, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't really know who. I mean, they could always go within the show to try to find somebody else to fill some of these vacated roles, but honestly, I think the characters that they have now are probably the best. I mean, I don't really see them continuing on the show if next season, say, for instance, they want to get rid of Nick Zano or Constantine, Matt Ryan. I don't know. I think they have to realize that if you try to bid farewell to too many of the original characters, you're really not going to have the same dynamic on the show, on the Wave Rider. So that is sad. It is what it is, I suppose. That's show business after all. But anyway, let me know in the comments below, will you miss Mick Rory, Dominic Purcell's character on Legends of Tomorrow, as he is shown the door for next season? All right, we got some casting news. Casting news coming up here for the upcoming slate of DC films. First up, Aquaman 2, production on Warner Brothers. Aquaman 2 is scheduled to get underway soon, and the first major casting addition has been revealed. Deadline reports that former Game of Thrones alum Pilo Asbeck, and I could be pronouncing that completely wrong, but that's how it looks phonetically. He's in final talks to join the DC Comics sequel, though no details on his role have been provided. He'll join the returning Jason Momoa and Amber Heard. James Wan will return to direct and will also produce alongside Peter Safran. David Leslie Johnson McGurdrick is writing the script. Asbeck will be best known as the vicious Euron Greyjoy of the later seasons of Game of Thrones. He's also appeared in the likes of Ghost in the Shell, Overlord, Run Sweetheart Run, and Netflix Over the Wire. Next year, he'll star opposite Sylvester Stallone in MGM's Samaritan. We don't know what to expect from the plot, but it's assumed that Black Manta, played by Yahya Abdul Mateen II, will be the main villain. There's also a good chance that the Trench will feature more prominently, since Wan's fondness for the deep sea terrors. Apparently that film, as we mentioned last week, being canceled. So, yeah, this guy looks like the real deal, He looks like, I imagine they're going to give him some kind of role as a heavy. And that should be pretty interesting. So, looking forward to that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And we move on briskly to another funny bit of business here. We have Shazam II casting. Shazam 2. This is a funny image. Let's see. Kill Bill star Lucy Liu has been busy working on small screen projects for the past few years, starring in shows like Elementary and Why Women Kill. Now, though, she's making her blockbuster return in style by taking on a key role in DC Comics' Shazam! Fury of the Gods. The Hollywood Reporter confirms that the actress will be playing the villainous Calypso. Is she going to dance? Who knows? That's a character with little to no history in the comic books, but she's the daughter of Atlas, one of the titans of ancient Greece, and the namesake of the A in Shazam. Helen Mirren, this is interesting because I didn't hear this when this happened. Helen Mirren recently signed up to play the villain Hesperia, daughter of Atlantis and sister to Calypso. Now, of course, I'm going to be that guy and say, how the heck do you have Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu as sisters? I don't know. I mean, I guess I could detach myself from reality long enough to, but no, I don't think I can. I don't understand. No, I don't get it. While plot details are being kept under wraps, it's clear now that the Shazam family will be squaring off with Atlas and his daughters in a admittedly unexpected direction for the sequel. However, if Shazam's post-credit scene was any indication, we'll surely see more of Mark Strong's Dr. Sylvana and the mysterious Mr. Mind, leader of the Monster Society of Evil. David F. Sandberg returns to direct, and Shazam! Fury of the Gods is currently set to be released June 2nd, 2023. Boy, they're having a far-off date set there. Gosh, they got a long ways to go before they get this movie out. I'm kind of surprised because, like I said, there's a large child cast here that is going to grow up by the time they get the sequel done. When was this movie made? I mean, the first one, of course, that was like 2018, or was it 2019? Even if it was 2019, you're still talking about the matter of like 4 years in between films, and you're going to have these kids who are, I don't know how old Billy Batson was supposed to be, 15. He's going to be like 18 now. You can't really get away with this little kid type scenario that they were kind of trying to do with the first film with the sequel. I don't know. Let's see. Shooting begins in May, so Warner Brothers will have a real head start on this one. If the last installment is any indication, we'll probably get a lot of set photos for the sequel. So there you have it, folks. Shazam is going to be in trouble with the Daughters of Atlas, apparently, for the sequel. All right, one more bit of casting news before we get to our breaking story, our lead story. Mads Mikkelsen. Now, this is a guy who's taken on Doctor Strange, James Bond. It's only fitting that he take on Indiana Jones next. Now, at least I'm guessing he's going to be the heavy. I mean, it's any guess what's going to happen in this film, to be honest with you. As we said last week, there's some interesting casting news already going on with this one, with Phoebe Waller-Bridge setting many a fan's nerves ablaze, so to speak, giving agita to many an Indiana Jones fan, may I put it that way. But Mads Mikkelsen is a shot in the arm, a step in the right direction, I think, of what fans are hoping to see between Harrison Ford and a fitting heavy. Let's see. Mads Mikkelsen has landed a role. Yeah, he's in the MCU. He's in Star Wars. Now he's in Indiana Jones. He's in, of course, the James Bond franchise. This guy has done the trifecta and then some. He's landed a role in the 5th installment of the iconic action-adventure franchise. Details on his character are still under wraps, but we wouldn't exactly be shocked if he's been cast as the villain. Mikkelsen has made a career out of playing bad guys. He recently replaced Johnny Depp as Gellert Grindelwald in the 3rd Fantastic Beasts movie, when the Pirates of the Caribbean actor was forced to step away from the role. Unfairly, I may add. He also brought life to some terrific heroic characters, however. Mikkelsen's most recent film was Academy-nominated Danish dramedy Another Round. Logan director Gold is taking the helm. It's also been confirmed that John Williams will return as composer. Kathleen Kennedy, Steven Spielberg, Frank Marshall, and Simon Emanuel will serve as producers on the still untitled Indiana Jones 5, which swings into theaters July 29th, 2022. So, yeah, some positive news on the film there. Some positive news. Phoebe Waller-Bridge, maybe the comic relief, I'm thinking. I don't know. Like I said, I don't see them putting her in as a romantic lead. So, curiouser and curiouser as Alice in Wonderland was wont to say. All right, so now let us get to the story at large. First off, we're talking about the Spider-Man No Way Home, Spider-Man 3, the third MCU film. Apparently, there is going to be a Spider-Verse in live action, and it's been rumored for some time that both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will be involved. We got confirmation pretty much already of Jamie Foxx's involvement with Electro. He wasn't shy about saying that he's in it, which I think is what led to the speculation that the other heroes, the other Spider-Man actors, would be involved. Now, Alfred Molina is leaving nothing to the imagination about the role, as he has come out and said that he is, in fact, in this film as Dr. Otto Octavius, probably one of the best screen adaptations of a comic book villain. I don't think he was quite as accurate to the comic as maybe they could have been, but he did a phenomenal performance. Let's see, describing it as Hollywood's worst kept secret, Golden Globe nominee Alfred Molina has officially confirmed his return as Dr. Otto Octavius in Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures' highly anticipated Spider-Man No Way Home. When we were shooting it, we were all under orders not to talk about it because it was supposed to be some great big secret, but it's all over the internet. I actually described myself as the worst kept secret in Hollywood. While the vast majority of Marvel stars often choose to remain tight-lipped about their involvement in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Molina was more than happy to share the news with Variety and opened up about his experience reprising his iconic role after nearly 2 decades. Wow, it's been that long? Yeah, I can't believe it. It was wonderful, he's quoted as saying. It was very interesting going back after 17 years to play the same role, given that in the intervening years, I now have 2 chins, a waddle, crow's feet, and a slightly dodgy lower back. Well, that actually might make him look a little more like Dr. Octopus, right? The double chin and the waddle. I think it's fitting. As for how he returns, well, that's a little murky, especially when you consider that this character died in his last appearance. I always thought they could have always reversed that, though. I always thought they were going to try to bring him back, had the Toby-verse, the Raimi-verse, whatever you want to call it, had continued on. I had expected that they would bring him back because we didn't really see... There was the supposition that he was dead underwater, but again, that's comic book logic, dictates that unless the body is completely drawn and quartered and destroyed and burned, and even then, it's not a done deal. Okay. The director, John Watts, told Molina, in this universe, no one really dies. The plan was set in motion, and Molina was finally on board. He didn't divulge much else, but he did reveal that Doc Ock's story will pick up immediately after that moment in the river when he sacrificed himself to save Peter Parker, Mary Jane, and all of New York. The rumor mill has pointed toward a multiverse element in No Way Home, along with potential time travel and diverging timelines. So it sure sounds like Watts and producer Feige have some big plans for Spidey 3. The story's complexities weren't necessarily Molina's biggest concern with coming back, though. It was his age. When expressing his concerns to Watts, he was assured that he'll look good. He just looked at me and said, "Did you see what we did to Bob Downey Jr. and Sam Jackson?" He joked, "They made Robert De Niro's face younger, but that was when he was fighting. He looked like an older guy. He looked like an old guy. That's what worried me about doing it again. I don't have the same physicality that I had 17 years ago. That's just a fact." It wasn't until he remembered what it was like actually playing Doc Ock that he relented, as it doesn't really require that much physicality on his part. I then remembered that it's the tentacles that do all the work. He sat up straight in his seat. "My basic physical move as Doc Ock, as the actor, is just this," he said as he glared intensely at the zoom camera and made a menacing noise. "I just do this a lot, and the arms are doing all the killing and smashing and breaking. I'm just going," he glared again, with a kind of mean look on my face. It was fantastic. Tom Holland will headline the feature with a confirmed supporting cast that will consist of Zendaya as MJ, quote-unquote MJ, Jacob Batalon as Ned Leeds, Marissa Tomei as Aunt May, the hot Aunt May, Tony Revolori as Flash Thompson, Flash in name only, J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. It's going to be interesting to see how they work Jameson. Is it going to be is his Jameson going to be the same one from Raimi's now that we're finding out that there's all kinds of cross-pollination here from the movies? That'd be interesting to see. Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange with Jamie Foxx and Alfred Molina reprising their roles as Electro and Dr. Octopus, respectively, from the earlier Spider-Man films. Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Kristen Dunst, Emma Stone, and Charlie Cox have also been rumored to reprise their roles from the previous Spider-Man movies and Daredevil TV series, although nothing has been confirmed just yet. Spider-Man No Way Home is tentatively scheduled to swing into theaters worldwide on December 17th. That seems like, I wonder if they're going to have it ready by December 17th. It seems like they got everything but the kitchen sink in this one, right? Everything but the kitchen sink. But that's the way we want it, right? We want to have all these things come together right now over me. All right, now let's get to this. Now, I always got to preface these kind of segments with the asterisk, with the caveat. Take it with a huge grain of salt. These are the leaks. These are the leaks. They're good leaks. Get them to close on these leaks. I don't know if they will or not. But if you don't want to hear any potential spoilers for that we haven't heard already anyway, then you'll have to tune out now. We're going to talk about what these spoilers are and what potentially they're spoilers. We don't really know, but supposedly it's coming from a reputed source. So there's that. This is a good possibility. These could be actual leaks. And since it's all going to depend on if Tobey Maguire is going to be in the film, if I'm going to see it or not. I mean, I have been woefully disappointed in the MCU Spider-Man. I like Tom Holland. I preface this. I mean, if you've watched the show, you know my opinion on these things. But I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Excuse me. And I think his best his best involvement in the MCU has been Civil War. That's about it. After that, I don't know. I mean, I could argue that I think Infinity War, he was okay. But apart from that, I didn't really like Homecoming. I didn't really like Far From Home. Didn't really like Endgame, the little bit that he was involved in that. So he's not really batting too well, Kevin Feige, on his inclusion of MCU Spider-Man into the MCU. Hopefully that'll turn things around here. I don't know. I honestly don't know if they could save it at this point. But let's take a look at this. Now, Spidey Forever 245 is the one who broke the story, so he's getting the credit. Spidey Forever 245 revealed the name of the actor who made a surprise appearance in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. No one else put the name forward on Reddit. Members of the press haven't received advanced screeners. Not a single website came close to guessing who it would be. Now, I don't know what they're talking about because I haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier, although, as I said before, I'm interested in getting Disney Plus pretty soon. That gives them a little more credibility than most users of the site, and their statement about the actor's identity was made in a busy comment section, not a post looking for karma. 3 days ago, they also shared a comment about Spider-Man No Way Home with information from a crew member. It's vague and there are some gaps, but a lot of it adds up, and we're willing to take it, at least with a pinch of salt, that this is the real deal. Here are the main points, edited for clarity. Now, this is interesting. Let's start one by one. There's a time skip. Peter Parker is in court. There's a lot going on as he's trying to prove his innocence. Now, this is what a lot of people were expecting because they figure Daredevil and Matt Murdock is going to be involved because, as we left him in Far From Home, Peter Parker's set up with the murder of Quentin Beck. So this could be a good place to show Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock. All right, number 2. The multiverse is breaking, and there are villains from other worlds. Doctor Strange is trying to capture them and put them in a special prison he made. The villains somehow escaped because Peter messed with some magic to clear his name, and it's now up to him to get them back into the prison. All right, so now, of course, the madness of the multiverse, or the multiverse of madness, I always forget which one it is, that's going to come out before this film, and so we're going to see how somehow Doctor Strange is going to have to deal with these kind of other dimensional characters. Now, Peter apparently is going to monkey around with magic that's going to cause even more problems. Interesting. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in the second and third acts of the movie. There are some scenes with Maguire and Garfield on their own. Well, that's important to me because I didn't want them just in it for a walk-on cameo or maybe just a fight scene at the end where they die and, the type of thing. If they're in it alone, that's cool. And if they have something to do in more than just one act, that's cool. So, that didn't sound too bad. The movie's final act is on the Statue of Liberty that now looks like a big Captain America with the shield. That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see. The villains are all there. Holland, Maguire, and Garfield too. There is a Stark arc reactor the villains are fighting over. Again, everything comes back to Tony Stark. This is not a surprise. All the villains except William Dafoe's Green Goblin end up in that prison. The Goblin kills someone. I'm not sure who, but Tom Holland's Peter was crying and got so mad he tried to kill Goblin and very nearly did. So that's interesting. William Dafoe has been rumored to be involved in this. I don't know exactly how reliable that is, but I've heard a lot of rumors suggesting that Dafoe might be like the ongoing, Norman Osborn in the MCU. This might be how they introduce him. I don't know. Who does he kill? A lot of people are saying it's going to be Ned. I really hope it's going to be Zendaya. I'm thinking maybe that's the easiest way out for them, because then you still give Tom Holland the Tom Holland Spider-Man, the Tom Holland Peter Parker, the sort of death of Gwen Stacy storyline, and then you can still open the doors now for him to be involved with a myriad of characters. He's going to probably be old enough to deal with a Felicia Hardy pretty soon. You could always bring in your own Gwen Stacy. I don't know if you can do that, though, because then people will be expecting her to be killed off. Of course, I think the obvious way to go is to go with another MJ, which would be, of course, Mary Jane, who would actually look like Mary Jane. I don't know if they would do that, only because they already had him going with the MJ. Now, we all know her name is Michelle Jones, so I don't know how, what are the odds that your next girlfriend, or even maybe two girlfriends down the road, is going to have the exact same initials as your first girlfriend? I don't know how that happens. It's comics. I think we would accept it if it happened, but they really shot themselves in the foot with the whole character of Michelle Jones, quite honestly. The movie ends with Peter finishing high school. It looks like everyone still knows he's Spider-Man by the end. That, I think, is problematic. Not the high school part. I think that they've tried to keep him in high school way too long in the movies as it is. They got to let him move on. I don't know what is... I mean, this could be a false ending, but I don't know what is gained by keeping Spider-Man's identity public knowledge. He's one of the few comic book characters that really needs his secret identity. I know Marvel play fast and loose with that in the MCU, but when you think of it, Captain America really never had a secret identity, not one that was important anyway. The Hulk was outed. Thor, his secret identity was never really a huge component to his identity. Black Widow and Hawkeye, of course, not really having important identities. Iron Man, I would argue, did at one point, but having him reveal his identity to the world felt like something Tony Stark would do, at least in this continuity, so it was a little bit easier. It was a little more palatable. I don't really see that ever working with Spider-Man, though, but, it's just like the MCU, they don't want to deal with those kind of things. They don't want to deal with secret identities. It seems like that was like going in. That was one of the mission statements. We're not going to deal with secret identities. So anyway, that's about it. That's about the size of it. What do you think about these leaks, these rumors, these innuendos? When rumor comes in the door, facts go innuendo. So, with apologies to Groucho Marx. So, yeah, I mean, I like the sound of it. I mean, I think this would be enough to get me to go watch it in the theater because, like I said, after the first two Spider-Man MCU movies, I was pretty much done. I was done. I didn't really need any more of this. But I don't know. I mean, I want to see a live-action Spider-Verse if it involves, if it involves Tobey Maguire. I know there's a lot of rumors also on, less than reputable sites about, well, this could spin off, and now that Raimi's working Doctor Strange 2, that he's going to have some say in what's going to happen with Tobey Maguire in this film, and then they're going to spin it off into a Spider-Man 4. That's kind of, I'm hoping that'll happen. I think it's like a pipe dream, though. That's kind of like with The Flash, and they're saying, well, Michael Keaton is, we might see Michelle Pfeiffer. Why not as Catwoman again? Well, yeah, that's great if it happens, but what is the chance of it really happening? There's a lot of rumor about that as well. I was looking into that story. I don't know if there's any confirmation yet that Michael Keaton is going to be in The Flash. The Flash getting ready to shoot very soon. I have a feeling, though, because of what happened with the Spider-Man Homecoming film, where it was sort of back and forth with him committing, not committing, and I have a feeling it's a little bit difficult to get him to sign on the dotted line with projects like that. So I think he probably will do it, but it's going to be, it's probably going to be one of those last minute decisions. I'm not sure. Okay, but anyway, like I said, I'm more excited now for this film than I was before. We know Alfred Molina, his Doc Ock's going to be in it. Potentially William Dafoe's Green Goblin, Tobey Maguire. Sounds like it's good stuff. I just hope they don't drop the ball and kill off the wrong person and have his identity still be known. They've got to... And also another rumor I've heard that I didn't really add into my notes was that, of course, Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan is going to be involved in the film. I think that's a given. It's pretty much the only place he's going to fit in now, unless, I don't know, his potential is kind of wrapped up in Spider-Man. I don't really see like them spinning him off to whatever, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, it's like I think that's his wheelhouse. It's Spider-Man, so I think that's the only place we're going to see him really from now on, unless of course we get another Iron Man film with Robert Downey Jr. All right, so that about does it. That's going to wrap it up for another Saturday afternoon broadcast here. I want to thank you all once again for joining. God love you for being here. Thank you for all the new subs. Make sure you like and share and sub if you haven't. Leave me a comment down below, and we'll be sure to read it on the next broadcast. Hopefully, you will check out the Adventures of Bullets Bourbon Private Eye, the all-ages action-adventure extravaganza, written and created by yours truly, with artwork and lettering by yours truly. Let us know what you think in the comments or on Twitter, which you can check out in the link in the description as well. Also, make sure you check out, like I said, the free preview section for the new issue that we have out right now, soon to be our next issue coming out probably within a month or so's time. So keep your eyes peeled for that. We're going to try to do another broadcast potentially sometime next week. I'm not sure also if I want to do another broadcast about Batwoman. That's on the table, although I am not committing to it yet because I haven't done reviews on the past couple, but they were very popular when I did them. I mean, I was getting views in the double digits, so you kind of don't want to walk away from them. So I might try to get that one in as well. But until next we meet, this is Johnnie Torch reminding you once again, keep the flame burning brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.